The best archaeologists in the world can be found in all kinds of places and on all kinds of projects. Most of the time, a suspicion, experience, or just a small clue in historical documents is enough to start looking for lost treasures and cities. It's quite possible that discoveries are made that were not actually planned for. Again and again, archaeologists, or even very simple people, only come across special places and events by chance, which in the end turn out to be an impressive find. In this video, we also go into some of the most spectacular coincidences where no one expected such a find. Before we get started, be sure to hit the like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, stick around until the end to hear about an incredible discovery scientists recently made that will leave you in awe. Tomb of the Minoan Civilization. The Minoan civilization is still associated with many mysteries. For some, it may have represented the original Atlantis. For others, it's mostly associated with the sudden disappearance after a natural disaster. Accordingly, archaeologists are eager to learn more about this culture, and for that, appropriate excavations are needed. Finally, by chance, one should come across an almost intact tomb of the Minoan culture in an olive grove on Crete. That was a good fit because research still assumes that the Minoans were particularly active in Crete. The tomb was hidden in a cesspool that was washed up by some rains. Suddenly, there was a 2.5-meter deep hole in the ground. A closer look revealed a burial chamber divided into 3 areas. Both the grave itself and the grave goods pointed to an earlier noblewoman, and there were indications that there are other graves in the vicinity. In fact, after this accidental find, a huge system was discovered on and in a hill, which is still being explored today and is now one of the most important finds associated with the Minoan culture. Slave Room. It is often forgotten that the Roman Empire also prospered primarily through slavery. However, in the excavations of the Roman world, there have been few traces of the nameless and non-existent who had to serve for rich rulers. By chance, a so-called slave room has now been found in Pompeii. Connected to the stables of an old villa, the room was discovered by accident and initially thought to be a storage room, as various amphorae and chests were also found here. Only the existence of 3 wooden beds indicated that it also served as a bedroom for humans. The room, measuring just 16 square meters, was used both as storage and as sleeping quarters for the slaves, and is a rare find that offers a little insight into the everyday life of the serfs of the Roman Empire. Apparently, their circumstances were a bit more austere than expected, and it remains one of the chapters in Roman history on which archaeologists urgently need more finds. Lascaux Cave. When 18-year-old Marcel Ravidat was out in the great outdoors with his dog, he could hardly have imagined that he would soon make one of the most important discoveries in French archaeology. The dog fell into a hole, and Marcel returned with friends to explore the entrance to the underground system. They quickly discovered that the cave walls were covered in drawings and returned with an adult who immediately understood what was unfolding before him. The Lascaux Cave quickly gained international fame. The rush of visitors was so much that the actual cave had to be closed to preserve the drawings. Inside of these caves, over 600 wall paintings were discovered that covered the interior walls and ceilings, telling countless stories of a life that once was. The paintings are predominantly composed of animals such as livestock that are estimated to have been created during the Paleolithic era. The paintings are known to have taken place over many generations. No one is entirely sure how old the paintings are or how long they took to be completed, but we expect them to have most likely been painted over several hundred years. Some have estimated the paintings to be around 17,000 years old, but this number has never been confirmed and is unlikely to be true. The first entrance to these caves was discovered in 1940 by an 18-year-old named Marcel Ravidat. He was traveling around the area with his dog, who happened to fall in a hole. Marcel called for help and returned to the area with 3 friends. They realized that the hole led to a small cave which was estimated to be about 50 feet below the surface of the ground. The group of friends entered the caves and explored them briefly before informing the proper authorities about their discovery. By 1941, experts had begun to unearth the remainder of the cave and document their findings. They found several hallways, each of which depicted a different type of artwork. These included the Hall of Bulls, the passageway, the shaft, the chamber of felines, and several others. Experts began to make copied drawings of the cave paintings so that they could be studied and filed away for future generations to research. Just a few years later, in 1948, the caves were opened to the public as a tourist attraction. Thousands of individuals flocked to the area, with numbers totaling about 1,200 visitors per day. However, by 1955, the paintings were becoming visibly damaged from all of the traffic. Experts believe that the deterioration of the paintings was due to carbon dioxide, heat, humidity, and other natural contaminants that were causing the ink and paint to fade. By 1963, the caves were closed to the public. They're now monitored daily to ensure that no one makes entry into the caves without proper approval. Today, these paintings serve as a valuable reminder of a long-forgotten time. The paintings depict several types of animals and livestock that may not exist anymore and offer one of the clearest depictions of humans' long-lost past. Secret Well. A couple from Plymouth, UK proved that unexpected discoveries can be made in the comfort of your own home. They bought a fairly old house, and after a while they found that they had mold on one of the lower walls. After deciding that the house needed a major makeover, one of the things they removed was the wall that was damaged with the mold. Behind the wall, they actually discovered the source, an old well that was apparently created for the house and walled up by the previous owners. In the old supply well, they also found old pieces of jewelry that, for example, referred to the 60th anniversary of Queen Victoria of England. Other pieces of jewelry were also found in the old well. It's believed that the previous owners simply didn't want the fountain anymore, used it as a dump for rubbish for a while, and then walled it up, and the fountain fell into oblivion. 1,000-year-old artifacts. Wells are not only found in old houses. Of course, there are still many of them in the countryside, even if they're now usually hidden or buried. A whole series of old wells have now been discovered in Bavaria, and work is started on digging them up again. It's always remarkable what you can find in the bottom of these wells. In this case, for example, it was old coins and pieces of jewelry, but above all, a collection of old keys, which archaeologists are now wondering about the story behind. Was it someone unlucky that day, or was it intentional that the keys ended up in the well, perhaps to protect a treasure? Golden Seal of the King of Na. The Golden Seal of the King of Na is officially one of the Japanese state treasures and is said to date back to 50 AD. The seal, which is 95% pure gold, features Chinese characters and is said to have been a gift from the Chinese to a then ruler in the southern part of Japan. However, the seal has been lost over the centuries and is said to have lived for almost 1,500 years until this part of the treasure of the Japanese Empire was rediscovered. A farmer was busy renovating his land and discovered a rock formation arranged almost like a box. The top stone was lifted, and finally they discovered the undamaged gold seal underneath. Today, it's on display in the Japanese city of Fukuoka and is an important part of the memory of the ancient rulers of this part of Japan. Venus de Milo. The Venus de Milo is one of the most beautiful and well-known ancient Greek statues that have survived to this day. For all her beauty, she has one flaw. She no longer has arms. Whether this is due to how it was found can no longer be clearly determined today. It was Yorgos Kandrotas who found the statue, divided into two parts in a niche in ancient ruins. After the discovery became clear, the French wrestled with the Turks for control. From here on, the trace of the arms is lost. While the Venus de Milo is undoubtedly just such a beauty, legends abound that her arms are tucked away in a secret place, only to be revealed when she's taken back to her homeland. Until then, viewers will have to be content with an incomplete but nevertheless beautiful statue. Euboean Chalice. The discovery of 10 ancient Etruscan tombs has caused a stir among archaeologists, particularly Italian ones. It has been suspected for quite some time that these graves were in this place, but until now there haven't been excavations. Now it was necessary to save the graves before nature finally devours them. In addition to up to 10 graves, which are said to be 2,500 years old, a chalice from the Euboean culture was also found. This is an epic of Greek antiquity of which hardly anything is known today. The find is a small sensation, as most of the other pieces of jewelry were stolen by grave robbers. Accordingly, one was surprised at the good condition of the find, and another part for the small collection that's still preserved from this culture. The Linen Book of Zagreb. The Linen Book of Zagreb is known as being one of the oldest pieces of written text known to man, written in the Etruscan language. This may not sound all that impressive, though Etruscan was actually one of the main influences for the Latin language, which in turn was a major influencer for the English language. So this one piece of text is surprisingly important. Only a handful of major documents are known to have been written in this language, so huge portions of the language remain unknown. Though in regards to this specific book, using what we do know about the language, it appears to be some sort of calendar detailing religious or ceremonial rituals. Typically, with books such as this, they never survive. Climates are usually far too aggressive toward the materials that these books are made from, and they break down very quickly. However, this book was a major exception, as it was preserved due to the fact that it was ripped from its binding and used to wrap a mummy, meaning that the text, as well as the mummy, remain nearly perfectly preserved. The mummy, as well as the text, was originally believed to have been Egyptian, though this was quickly proven to be untrue. It took over 40 years to identify the text, but in 1891, it was confirmed to have been Etruscan. To this day, both the text and the mummy remain on display in a refrigerated room in the Archaeological Museum of Zagreb, Croatia. Coin treasure. In the British Isles in particular, chances are quite high that you'll stumble upon an historical artifact of the island's long history simply by accident. Some try to give this happiness a little boost and are out and about with metal detectors in the old meadows, for example. There have been one or two finds, with the coin hoard in Somerset eclipsing most of the finds. 2,500 silver coins were discovered here by a group of treasure hunters, which probably date back to the time of the Battle of Hastings and could therefore have been in the earth for up to 1,000 years. It's not known whether it was an attempt to protect the wealth from the invaders or whether the coins were simply forgotten over the years, but it's certain that the special find can be viewed in a museum today, and the finders received a nice reward for their search. 250 ancient rock tombs. The Egyptian archaeologists were actually looking for tombs in the ground, but in the end they found them in a rock face. During a discovery tour through a former necropolis, the scientists came across a collection of 250 rock tombs, some of which are said to be over 4,000 years old. They've been carved into the rock. Unfortunately, much of it appears to have been discovered many years ago, as most of the tombs had been looted. But it's an important step in exploring the necropolis, and archaeologists are sure they may uncover more tombs of this type in the area. Sometimes it takes a bit of luck and coincidence to make amazing discoveries like the ones shown in this video. Can you think of similar instances in history where great treasures have only been discovered through the right mix of timing and location? Thank you for watching. Click on one of the pictures and watch another exciting video. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. And to never miss new videos again, click subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.